Honkai Star Rail is no stranger to releasing powerful units in each patch. Since the game's already been out for a full year almost, we've seen a lot of OP units, and it's been a really exciting year. But as the time passes, the question still remains, who is the best character for a certain path? With all of the endgame content continually getting stronger and better, we need to answer this question for preservation. And perhaps the most prevalent question on everybody's mind right now is Xuan versus Aventurine. Hot Gambler Man versus Tanky Master Diviner. Let's break it down. In order to have a fair comparison, we'll be directly comparing the two in the following ways. We'll go over their full kit and the current meta as it pertains to MOC and pure fiction, their relative ease to build and certain team synergies, as well as how free-to-play friendly they are. As a reminder, even though we're comparing these two units directly, both of them are excellent in their own regard and will get you through either form of content. Yes, they are both that insane, but surely there's only one winner, right? Briefly running through both kits, Xuan boasts an excellent diversity of buffs and support. She plays with the idea of extreme damage mitigation rather than the extreme shields that the Hot Gambler Man provides. She has the highest base HP value in the game and in fact purely scales off of the HP. As you can see in the clip, she has team-wide damage reduction for her talent that's up 100% of the time and a 65% damage redirection from her OP field, the Matrix of Prescience. Basically, it just means that Xuan's going to take the brunt of the damage instead of the unit that does get attacked. This Matrix is her skill and it lasts 3 turns. There's even more to it though. At max trace level, the Matrix also gives a team 6% max HP increase and a absolutely ludicrous 12% team-wide crit rate buff. Hello DPS! Here's where she gets even more interesting. Her talent and ultimate interaction is going to be the main cycle of healing that she kind of uses. The ultimate not only looks fantastic, it also grants 1 trigger count for her HP restore portion of her talent. This HP restore is 90% of the HP that Xuan is missing. Once she gets to 50% HP or below, it's when it gets triggered, as long as she's not incapacitated or one-shot. The ultimate will restore 1 count of this, and she can hold 2 total charges. Her major traces are also pretty good, with her ultimate turning into a team-wide mini heal, which can actually sustain well enough if her HP is high enough. Her second major trace gives her 20 extra energy when skilling while the Matrix is up, which is really helpful because her ultimate cost is already a little bit high at 135, I believe. Oh, and her last major trace makes it so you can prevent 1 CC debuff each time the skill is activated. So here's a recap for Xuan. She gets max HP and crit rate buffs for the team, CC immunity 1 time with each skill usage, massive team-wide damage mitigation, and some minor healing from the ultimate. She's extremely tanky with her high HP scaling, has an own self-restore of 90% missing HP, and an automatic 2-turn matrix when she uses her technique. That was kind of a lot to get through, but now let's talk about the hot, tanky, protective... Oh, sorry, I got distracted again. Aventurine's kit is also very well built and is quite true to his gambling ways. His whole concept revolves around his skill usage Cornerstone Deluxe. This provides a stackable fortified wager shield that will block 24% damage of Aventurine's defense plus 320. Every time an enemy hits one of these shields, Aventurine gets a stack of blind bet, which will lead to the 7-hit follow-up attack once it reaches enough charges. You'll see that the blind bet cap is actually 10 because it can overflow with all of these shields and follow-up attacks, giving each other the points. Oh, by the way, the talent also gives 50% effect res for a single ally with the fortified wager, and Aventurine can fully resist CC and debuffs with this fortified wager shield on himself. Roulette Shark is his ultimate, and it gains 1 to 7 random blind bet points in typical gambling fashion. Although with Aventurine, nobody ever loses. Additionally, the ultimate grants a debuff onto the enemy for 3 turns. This is called Unnerve, and when an ally hits that unnerved enemy, they get a 15% crit damage increase. We also have to talk about Aventurine's damage in this way because of his amazing traces. A 2 major trace gives 2% crit rate to Aventurine for every 100 defense that's over 1600 and gives a max of 48% crit rate. A4 starts the battle with a full fortified wager shield, 100% of the skill. And A6 is a bit wordy, but basically it recycles blind bet points when allies use follow-up attacks, and in addition, it'll also provide more shields to everyone when Aventurine uses his follow-up attack, and an extra one to the person who's the lowest shielded teammate. All in all, pretty good traces, but let's go ahead and recap and compare both kits. Aventurine gives a ton of shields, and they all stack. Literally, never even gonna have to take damage. Some conditions may apply. Full effect res to himself and 50% to an ally with the Fortified Wager Shield. Team-wide 50% crit damage buff when attacking an unnerved enemy through his ultimate. Very strong DPS damage, especially if you build him hybrid because of the follow-up attack and the 48% crit rate buff. And a defense percent boost with his technique at different values. Yay gambling! Please make sure to gamble responsibly. So how do these two kits compare in regards to Memory of Chaos and Pure Fiction? Obviously some buffs will lean towards a certain character more so depending on what it is. Like that follow-up attack buff or the number of hits buff, those are definitely going to be in Aventurine's favor. But if it's stronger single target damage, that's going to be more in Xuan's favor. There's also a team composition aspect to this, like what exactly are you trying to build? DPS hyper carry, follow-up attack, nihility, mono teams. Xuan is definitely going to feel like a much more universal, safe choice with any team, as she can just simply plug and play. Shout out to our friend Kilios here, who's another amazing Honkai Star Rail content creator you should follow for the MOC gameplay. Whereas Aventurine will boost certain teams more than Xuan will, like that follow-up attack team, but will still be a good choice for others. Pure Fiction wise, I gotta give it to Aventurine. His damage is gonna shred through multiple waves of enemies, and his shields are gonna provide a lot more tankiness for any AoE attacks in general, as well as provide more stacks for his talent. So blah blah mogul, who wins this section already? Who has the better all-around kit for getting through Pure Fiction and MOC? Well, the answer is at minimal investment, Xuan gives a slight edge in MOC in my eyes due to the crit rate, HP buffs, as well as that free CC dodge every skill. Meanwhile, Aventurine takes the cake for Pure Fiction, as his damage output can shred through the enemies. Don't get me wrong though, either will work for either gameplay. As you invest more, their weaknesses, which aren't even really weaknesses at all, are mitigated even more. So far it's been a pretty close contest with neither preservation unit really being too far behind. However, in my opinion, there is a clear winner for the ease of building and team synergy, and it may not be what you expect. Xuan is a more universal pick for me, as she can provide more value for more teams than Aventurine can. Aventurine seems to provide more support than Xuan by a decent margin in the teams he excels at, like the follow-up attack team, while Xuan excels by providing excellent support in most, if not all, teams. We won't be talking about mono teams here because obviously Quantum is Xuan and Imaginary is Aventurine. Hyper carry DPS wise, I've personally been struggling way more with crit rate than crit damage, so I would also be choosing Xuan for this endeavor, as you can see from my Donghong and Lune. Although I would love both for the effect resistance, because I need to block CC whenever I can, because I only have Bailu and Lynx. For the ease of building the character, it can really go either way since it purely depends on what you want to build Aventurine into. If you want him to be full defense, he is going to be easier to build than Xuan. If you want him to be a hybrid like myself, we also have to throw imaginary damage, crit rate, and crit damage into that equation, which makes it a lot tougher. Here's my current plan for Aventurine. As you can see on my Japard here, he's currently holding all my relics and ornaments. This hybrid build is definitely harder than just scaling HP on Xuan, where I would build her to just be as tanky as possible. Once you get to the high investment levels though, min-maxing that HP might not be as bad as trying to get that crit ratio that we see on most DPS. Luckily, we don't have to worry about attack. Thank you, Aventurine. So who wins this section with minimal investment? Xuan, especially if you have the strong DPS already, and Aventurine if you're just building pure defense. So which of these two units is more free-to-play friendly? Do we need their light cone for either of them? And how good are their light cones anyway, especially for each preservation unit? Well, maybe that doesn't matter as much since we don't have that many preservation units anyway. But Xuan's light cone, she already shut her eyes, is definitely more future-proof for preservation units since it's just HP, energy regen, all allies damage with a heal. Whereas Aventurine's is defense percent, sure, but it's only a crit damage boost to himself when providing a shield. So why would that be important for Japard or Trailblazer? Why would they need that? Also, will we get another preservation follow-up unit? That seems a bit unlikely. Winner here is clearly Xuan for her light cone in my eyes, but it is similar to that concept where Xuan is more universal, but Aventurine is more focused on his good teams. But Mogul, that's not free to play anyway. Preservation cones are really going to depend on what you have. Texture of Memories is the free-to-play simulated universe cone, which is much better for Xuan than Aventurine, but it still isn't that amazing. Aventurine is going to like the damage percent ones like Destiny Threads for Woven or Trend of the Universal Market, where Day 1 of My New Life and We Are Wildfire, which is the other free-to-play cone, are more in favor of Xuan. The other cone of note is Landau's Choice, and that's kind of good on either of them. We kind of talked about it in the previous section, but the free-to-play side of things also determines the build you want to use. They're both pretty free-to-play friendly, as both are extremely well equipped to whatever content you want to accomplish. You can also rest easy knowing that both of these units are going to be very future-proof. They aren't going to be randomly power crept by some characters down the line. They're still going to be quite usable for all of the foreseeable patches coming up. And in fact, as we get more units, they may actually get stronger, especially in Aventurine's case once we get more follow-up attackers. And we've already kind of seen this with some certain units. Cooler Daniel when Sparkle came out got a good buff, Nihility units like Kafka when Black Swan came out, and yes, even the worst character in the game that everybody loves to pull in their 50/50s when Aventurine comes out. But now it's time to take the overall look at everything we just discussed and recap who is the ultimate preservation god or goddess. Everything does really depend on your own personal brand of what you want to build and what characters you have. The baseline conclusion that I've come to is as follows. If you want a more universal plug-and-play character with very easy to build ideas, Xuan is your answer and plugs into almost any team scenario. For more focused teams around shields or follow-up attacking, or if you just want that sweet spicy damage, Aventurine is going to be your hot gambling answer. They really are both incredible units that will power you through the endgame content with enough time and care put into them. Ultimately, it comes down to one thing and one thing only. Build who you want to build. All of Honkai's characters are amazing in their own way, and I have respect for all of them. No, not you, Sampo. But that's the beauty of a game like this, where we do have to emphasize team building. We can all enjoy who we want to enjoy. Finish the story in your own way. So who wins between Aventurine and Xuan? Quite simply, the answer is up to you. I sincerely hope this video helped you, and let me know in the comments what you think. Did I miss something? Thank you for watching, and that's it. Subscribe and follow for more Honkai Star Rail, and bye for now.